claims we're live. What do you think about that?
It's so dumb.
We got some big news for you. Stay tuned.
I don't know why it's so funny.
It's pretty funny. I think the more you do it, the funnier it gets. That's how comedy works, right? Just ask Family Guy. The longer it goes.
The best part about it is it just mutes both of us, and I can't see or hear you.
Yeah, everyone is seeing exactly what we're seeing. The exact same thing.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm losing my mind.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both.
What is this? Am I getting fished?
Welcome to Sean discovering all the features of this streaming platform that we've never looked at.
Getting emails. I don't like it.
No one even watching. Where is everyone? There's Web Queen. Hi, Mom.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Web Queen _ says hi. Was Web Queen taken? That's too bad. She was the OG Web Queen back in the NSCA Mosaic days.
NSCA?
Before the
What's that?
it's National Corporation Standards Administration. National Science Corporation of America. Naughty cat singles in your area.
Well, the good thing about that is that you just said that, so now like I'll get like an ad somewhere, and it's gonna say like naughty single cats. Because they're listening.
NSCA. That's the original browser before there was Netscape Navigator. There was Mosaic.
But what is NSCA?
I don't know. I forget. I could probably Google it, but technology doesn't exist to have more than one browser window open at a time.
But then they would know that you're looking up the NSCA if you happen to Google it. What's up, everybody?
Then you just start getting ads for browsers.
So NSCA was part of the name.
Yes, that was part of the name of the.
Niska.
I think it's NS.
Nixa.
No, it's NCSA. National Center. Wow. National Center for Supercomputing Applications.
I see.
From Urbana, Illinois. Didn't need a supercomputer to find that out.
Gotta quit the yawning.
Yeah, man,
So, do white noise machines actually work?
So, work how do you mean?
Like, do they work?
Like, do they help you
Yes.
sleep or whatever? We have one. I can send you a link. We got a little one for our bedroom. It does various white noises and fan noises and nature noises and lullabies. I like it, but we always have a fan on, so it's when it got too cold to have the fan on in the winter, we just got the white noise machine, so we get the fan noise up, having the fan on.
Watson is sort of his own white noise machine.
It's just something to like cover up background noise, so you don't get like, whatever. She listens to the rains down in Africa. That's how I read that.
Now that song is gonna be. I was playing Warzone with Scotty the other night, and when you get in a car, you can play music now. It just plays like a random song.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just blasting Africa when I jumped in his car. So it's been stuck in my head
The song is
ever
licensed
since.
in the game.
Must be. Just blasting it.
Awesome.
We were getting shot at. He's screaming. All I hear is da 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 in the background. It's crazy.
It'd be great if like there was a Doppler effect, so someone's like trying to mow you down. It's like meow. Doppler effect. Yep.
Should probably tweet out that link.
Surprised this thing doesn't do that.
I'm
Yeah,
lagging
StreamYard.
today.
You look okay here. I haven't noticed
No, just
yet.
mentally I'm lagging today.
Oh, okay. I can't help you there. Oh, hi.
What's up, Thomas?
We're doing good, Thomas. Thank you. Thursday's the new Friday. Here at Does Not Compute Studios. Joe, we should hang out soon. Craig was talking about hangouts, and I think we should go see Craig and hang out at some point. Now that we're all vaccinated. I think that would be cool. Listening on my phone and typing on my computer. That's normal. Like, I've done Discord on my phone while I'm doing other stuff sometimes. Yeah, Joe, we'll coordinate something.
All right, the tweet has been tweeted.
Yes, I did take Maxinated from ATP. I've been spreading that around. Seems to be a hit.
I get my second shot at the end of this month.
Thomas, did you order your ATP merch? Because the store is only open. The store closes tomorrow. So get your merch. Get your overpriced graphic tees while they last. I got a mug because I need more mugs. I don't need more shirts. I need more mugs. I did the trick where so Accidental Tech Podcast has a subscriber feature. It's $8 a month or something. And if you subscribe, you can subscribe month to month, but you also get a coupon code for money off their store. So I bought an $8 subscription for this month. And then I saved probably about $7 or $8 on the stuff that I ordered through the coupon code. So, and they actually told you on the podcast, they're like, hey, sign up for your thing, order our stuff, then cancel your subscription. It's fine. You'll save money. I was like,
Got
"Sweet."
that J&J. I like
Got
that.
permission.
I'm only half juiced up right now.
Yeah, Joe, you've had it for a while. DNC merch. I don't know if we can make that happen.
Hold on, let me see what's going on here.
How are you, Joe? Can we get a shout out? I'm getting a shout out to Sewing Nerd Studios here for anyone who's here. Let me find the link here. Because she won't plug it herself.
Let's get that shout out going.
So Joe is my IRL friend who we randomly met at a concert and just became friends because we were at the concert. And she's awesome at sewing and making geeky things. And she does really funny videos where she shows you how to do stuff, sew stuff, and like convert like old clothes, like to convert a shirt to a dress, and like repurpose things, combine things. And they're pretty funny. Sometimes she drinks while it happens, and for some added hilarity, which is pretty great.
I slapped that subscribe button.
Like, comment, subscribe. There you go. Got +1.
+2.
That's awesome, Joe. Yeah, I see. She's cranking out the videos for a long time now. What was the concert, Joe, that we met at? Oh, yes, I have been in a couple videos. Don't tell them that.
Uh-oh. Now we have to go find some.
Poppin' Cookin'. Is Poppin' Cookin' and then the watch roll one, maybe? A couple travel vlogs. I think the concert was... It must have been Crash Kings, right? Yeah, first headline show, Great Scott. So it's Crash Kings headlining, and then Tally Hall. Was Tally Hall opening? It was Great Scott.
Oh, Thomas is on the case. He'll find it.
I don't remember.
He's gonna find it.
Great Scott is no longer. I wonder if they they went out of business after halfway through the pandemic because no one could go to shows, which is too bad. I wonder if they're able to save it. It's all right.
Thomas will find.
Blow up my OPSEC.
Well, I'm going to be fading here soon. The pizza's going to be kicking in.
All right, let's do it.
I'll be turning into a pizza myself.
Is that how that works? You just turn into whatever food you eat?
Mm-hmm.
That's some bad news for me, man. It's not going to end well. That's right. So this is actually a funny story. So Joe and I met at this one. We really like this band called Crash Kings. Crash Kings are awesome. They're kind of like Cold War kids, piano heavy, like alt rock. And then, so we met at this Crash Kings show, and then we were going through photos together later, and we found that we were in the background of her photos from other shows. Like before we even met, we found her. We were looking at these like, wait, I'm in there. That was a Rooney show. Tally Hall and Crash Kings of Rooney. That's what I was thinking of. Anyway, this is all very exciting, I'm sure. But remember going to shows? That'll happen again soon.
I haven't been to one in a while. Actually, The last time I'd really gone to one was in Santa Cruz before we left for Vermont.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Went to a bunch of metal and pop punk shows here.
Good times.
Yeah. How's that going, Ryan? The first one just made me tired. I didn't get sick from it. It just made me tired.
Bye, Joe. Thanks for stopping by.
Your arm hurts? Yeah. Mine was sore for a few days. So I never sleep past 7 o'clock at the latest. And the second day, I don't know why. It's not like I set an alarm. I just wake up between 6 and 7. And the second day after the shot, I slept until noon. I woke up and was like, what happened? Hey, I woke up and I was in a different world. I was like, this is not right. Whatever just happened. So probably needed it,
I guess.
Yeah. I need to sleep more. I just can't. Oh, see ya. I get my second one at the end of this month. You want to get into it, Rocco? Because I had some questions about what you told me earlier.
Oh, no. Okay.
Or I could just rant for an hour if you want, because it's been one of those weeks.
No, let's get into it. Close enough. All right, ready? Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Recording.
The vaccine made me feel like this song sounds. just the show. The show is
Everything
the
is
show.
a show. The show never ends. This is the show that never ends.
The show is the show, though.
You think the show's over, but this is the show now. We just hit
So
record.
yeah. Who's clapping?
I don't know. I feel like we need a bot that can like flip a coin for us. Why don't you clap? I think I clapped last time.
All right. 1, 2, 3. So about Merlin Mann, like the show is the show, right? Our client has a bell, and one side is happy side and one side is the mad side, bad side. But we don't know which is which because we can't see it. So occasionally he'll ring the bell, and it always makes me think of Merlin Mann.
What is it?
But with the added complexity of which side was the bell, like which side was facing us when he hit the bell. We don't know if he's upset or if he's happy with us. We don't know. He just slaps the bell sometimes.
I don't listen to any of his shows. But I know that ATP stole the bell idea, and they do use it in one very specific instance on that show. But I don't know how it's normally used in context.
Oh yeah, I don't know either. I was just I used to listen to their show a lot. That is Merlin Mann's Roderick on the Line, and they would always talk about, is this a show? Is this the show? The show is the show kind of
okay.
stuff. So
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Shout out John Roderick though. That band. Oh my God, I'm totally blanking.
The Long Winters.
Long Winters.
Yeah.
I had a Long Winters phase where I was just playing their first album on repeat, and it's funny because like he really can't sing. Like, it's pretty bad, but just the more you listen to it, I don't know, stopped hearing all the intonation problems and started really enjoying the music for some reason.
They're just well structured songs. Now, if you want to hear some catchy tunes where the singer really can't sing, check out Nardwar's band called The Evaporators.
Those were words. We'll put those in the show notes.
Nardwar. You've never seen Nard? Has anyone in the chat have you heard of Nardwar, the human serviette? Then the bean incident. What is that? Yeah, The Evaporators. Check out The Evaporators and check out Nardwar. So Nardwar does, like, he's famous for doing these interviews with music artists, and he creeps them out because he finds out details and stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so everyone he interviews are like, how do you know that? They kind of, and he also has a band called The Evaporators. Yeah. And Shine Ryan hates him. So he's an interesting person, but he has a band called The Evaporators. And they have a song about cheese. Yeah. So anyway, this week has been a whirlwind of a week for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's been pretty. One of the by whirlwind, I guess I mean like hard but good learning week, and it sounds like it was similar for you as well.
Sorry. Yeah, lots of learning going on over here, just kind of as needed. Like, oh, I need to learn more about what is mocking? When do I use mocking? How do I test things? How do I test this very specific thing? I mean, the list goes on, but like we just hit so many tiny little road bumps along the way this week trying to develop, build out some new features for the client for Dockyard work. And it's been a lot. It's been really, really, really awesome though. We made it felt like my first actual really productive week working here, like really getting into a groove, which is super rewarding.
So I haven't actually, the first kind of like dependency injection and mocking kind of stuff I got into was actually with Elixir and DK, because I think like the app got far enough along where I legitimately needed that stuff. And I'm trying to remember the details around it. If I'm remembering correctly, I needed to stub around basically some of the AWS stuff so I could write more tests around our upload and file handling without having to actually, have development or test always hit an actual bucket. And so I got into, I think there's a library called Mox.
Mm-hmm. MOX.
MOX. Yep. Yeah. But there's also Elixir, like an Elixir. There's one that like Jose and Kuru really like. I don't know if it's Mox or if it's something else. Anyway, yeah, tell me more about that experience, like actually getting into it and going through that route. Because like, so one of the things that we had talked about over the years, I suppose, is like testing and stuff, and so now I think like you're kind of getting forced into it, for lack of better words. So how are you finding it?
Yeah, man, it's a ton of work. But like I'm really starting to see the value in it just by going through the process and actually discovering bugs through the tests, like, hey, the system works, it's kind of cool. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, why is this behaving weirdly? Oh, this is an edge case we hadn't considered. That there is real value there. And I'm starting to see the returns on that and gaining confidence that the stuff I'm committing is, is stable in some way. I'm used to, for the past 7 or 8 years, I've just been cowboy coding my way through everything, no tests on anything, write something, click test it, ship it to production. If it breaks, we'll just get a ticket about it and fix it, move fast and break things, whatever you want to call it. That's how I've functioned for a long time. And when I'm the only person on the project, that can fly, that's okay. But that does not work in this environment, right? So the process of developing the test, writing the test, running the test, seeing the green dots, that's I think that's a good cycle. Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah. It's sort of, for me, it's sort of like cathartic in a way. I mean, you hear about like red, green, refactor, that kind of cycle, TDD development and stuff. Like with DK, I didn't really get into super TDD all the time, no matter what I did. But for me, kind of like getting into a flow, I think that it feels pretty cathartic to kind of like run the tests. Okay, look at the output, go and fix it, run them again, look at the output, go and fix it. I think especially for like knocking out bigger features or bigger bugs or things like that, it's kind of nice to have that sort of, repeatable process to go through. One of the things where I've kind of lost in most of my time has been, or I guess over the years, one of the things that has caused me to lose most of my time is just kind of going through motions and making guesses and trying to like make a fix based on a guess. And then pretty soon you have like 50 tabs open and you forget what the real problem was. And you know what I mean? You kind of like get in this unproductive loop. And so I've been trying to catch myself in that loop more and more. And I think that red, green, refactor process really helps me with that.
Kind of keeps you on track, keeps you focused on what you're actually doing.
Yeah, side note, hey, shout out to Jaggy. Thanks for coming by, Jaggy. Jaggy that I talk about on the show. Welcome. Yeah, I think, it's cool to like kind of see that light bulb pop up. I mean, granted, right now I'm not writing any tests because the project hasn't had any, and we just haven't had any, to be honest. And I'm not like super well versed in Jest, which is something I need to invest time into because that's like the thing that we'll be using. But I kind of do miss especially with the Elixir. I got really comfortable with XUnit in my process in building out DK.
This is a particularly sticky situation because this feature is, on a surface, very simple. Fetch stuff from an API, store it in the database, cache it in memory so it's quick to access, right? Pretty standard, like fetching stuff, doing stuff. But there's a lot of moving pieces there because everything you do is basically a side effect. So fetching from the API, there's 2 levels of mocking there. You can mock like the actual HTTP response from Tesla. That's the HTTP library that we're using, right? You can mock up the HTTP response so that way you use like the quote unquote real implementation in code of the client, but it's just a fake server, right? Then there's another layer of mocking, which is close in your application where you just mock up, good or bad responses without even trying to hit the implementation, without even trying to hit the server. You just like intercept that and just say, okay, it's good or okay, it's bad, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also a third thing, which is we've also had this concept of fake implementations where maybe in a development environment, you want to click test something, but you maybe don't have the API key. Maybe you just, whatever. You need to have some sort of fake thing that you can plug in that's somewhat functional. So there's like, just on the API access piece, there's all these different layers that I'm kind of trying to keep track of in my head. What environment are we running as? What adapter are we using? Are we using the real thing? Are we using the fake thing? Are we using a mocked real thing? Which level are we mocking at? Like all this, and this is all new to me, so I'm just trying to keep track of sort of all this implicit state around, what is actually happening, what code path is actually being run.
Yeah. So in DK early on, what I picked was a library. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now. I'll have to put it in the show notes, but essentially it allowed the real API requests to happen, but it spun up a dev server and it would catch API requests, and then you could say return a certain response, and so that way you could actually like force an error, force a success, force or whatever, and test how your application responds to it. And that seemed to work pretty well because it was just one layer happening, right? And real requests were happening. So, I mean, it wasn't perfect, wasn't great. Or, I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't great. It wasn't like perfect, but it was easier for me to kind of keep my head around as like a solo dev.
Yeah, I'm trying to look this up because this did sound really cool.
It wasn't VCR. There's an Elixir implementation of VCR, but there's another one.
Oh my god, I'm trying to find it now.
I could go to
really
GitHub.
Cool. My Google Foo is failing me. Anyway, yeah, that is a cool thought, and I would I definitely should look more into that. But we were there was an existing API thing that we were basically said like, here's how you should do it. Just copy how we do it this way. So that's what we did. But I'm definitely interested in the merits of doing it your way with just a HTTP library, and maybe I'll try it and bring it up and be like, hey, this is an alternative if you want to consider it for the future. But
Yeah, I'm looking at my mix file right now. God, I accidentally opened up mix.lock, and it's funny how short it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to working in node modules right now.
Forget
Ooh,
it. Forget
baby. Do. What is this thing called?
It should be under test only. I keep wanting to say VCR, but I know it's not VCR.
I'm going one by one now. Yeah, let me just search for tests. Bypass.
Bypass.
That's it.
There it is.
Bypass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked pretty well. Like, it got me pretty far. I ended up having to use mocks. So I was talking about I wasn't sure which one was the Jose one, and Shy Ryan in the chat corrected me and said that mocks is the one. But yeah, I got used to using bypass and it worked pretty well, but I ended up having to use mocks at some point for the AWS stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly why that was. I think like the AWS stuff was still under more development then, so it could be something around that. But yeah, bypass seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah, cool. Definitely have to play around more with that. So the whole mocking API thing, that was definitely a learning experience, the trade-offs of that. The other thing was that this feature has this caching piece, and the caching is managed by a gen server, and gen server is this process that's running asynchronously. And it was a real challenge to figure out. There were lots of cases there where you have to sort of make sure that the gen server isn't running, outside of your test, making sure that it's not, because like during the test, it runs in the database in this sandbox mode. And if you check out a connection from the connection pool, the test process runs, the test process exits. But if something asynchronous is happening in the background that happened to check out that database connection, it'll blow up because it's like, hey, you checked out this connection, but the owner process exited. The process who gave you that access to that is now dead because your test is over because you have this async thing running in the background. And that was super challenging trying to figure that out because in addition to testing this gen server, we also have to have the gen server itself running as part of the application supervision tree because it's part of the application. So the process is already running and doing stuff, and we have to like basically tell it, hey, like don't do stuff, like just run silently, don't touch the database, run in this weird test mode, just so that we could get the test working, so we could test it in isolation and not have this actual process like interfere with us, and because the whole rest of the application does actually rely on it to do stuff. But for this test,
how many timer.sleeps do you have in the code base?
In the tests,
Yeah.
Just one.
Just one? All right.
And the only reason I had to put timer.sleep in there was because there's a polling feature.
Okay.
And so I needed to check that it did polling, right? So I set the poll timeout to like 100 milliseconds, wait 110 milliseconds, then make sure the polling happened.
Yeah. I had a few in DK, just especially waiting for like multi operations to run and finish in the tests, and using task.start to move things out of the main pipe. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So it's there. The code is private. You can't see it, but I know it's there. Yeah, luckily not too many. But it was always, I found that like Elixir made it really approachable for me as like a solo dev on the project to kind of do more of the chores that you're supposed to do, like writing the tests and refactoring to use bypass or refactoring to use mocks. It was pretty approachable and pretty easy. I've been diving more into like TypeScript world and like the Node and JS type testing systems and things like that, and it's definitely not as approachable.
Yeah. So on the whole, though, I'm super excited about this new feature that we're developing. We got the PR together today, and it's off into the void for someone to tear it apart now. But it's super cool because we got to utilize a bunch of Elixir-specific features. We got to use gen servers in a cool way. We got to use ETS tables for, using read concurrency. So we've got this really fast access for this data that is, write once, read often, basically, right?
Write once,
all the
read
testing
often.
stuff. Not write once, but write infrequently, read very often, right?
Okay.
So you have read concurrency turned on there, and gen servers for basically doing like cron jobs. The thing can call itself and manually update itself. It can own the ETS table. It can keep track of its state. We can test it in isolation. And taking advantage of Ecto, change sets, validations. We actually found a bunch of stuff. We added validations. We used the validations. We're like, oh, shoot, there's some invalid data here. Like, we need to figure out how to handle that, right? We can't just take stuff from the API and shove it into the database because there's some problems with it, right? So we got to filter that stuff out and catch that. So all these little things just kind of added up, and it felt really cool to take all these different, sort of advantages that the ecosystem gives you and actually build an individual feature out of that. And we got to remove a dependency. What's better than that?
That's unheard of. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I do miss Elixir when I think back about it, or when I'm thinking about L&D time at MetaLab or other things that I want to build. I often think fondly of Elixir.
Yeah, definitely. That's Elixir's in it for the long game, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think choosing Elixir, like you're choosing it for very specific reasons and not it's what most people know kind of choice. I did see on Twitter that the tweet was something to the effect of like, they say Elixir is hard to hire for, but we put out a tweet and within a day we got 60 applications and at least 40 of them were like legit applications that we could probably hire.
I think that was Ben Wilson, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes like thinking about, I like Node, I like working with it, but I like Elixir better. I don't know if that's a function of me being more comfortable with it because like having more years of experience with it, but I don't know. I think like I was thinking about this today. So this past week I've been working on converting the base UI kit. And again, like the project I'm on, we have like a base UI kit and then we have multiple applications that all use it, right? And so the base UI kit was not TypeScript, and we were getting along pretty okay with it, but we were just having some growing pains. And one of the applications that uses it, we can't see the source code, nor can we see the actual running application.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where like we try not to make any breaking changes, and if we make any breaking changes, there's a whole coordination effort that has to happen. Like, hey, is your team aware of this? Is this okay? Are there any considerations that we have to make, et cetera, et cetera? And not that TypeScript magically makes that easier, but if things start blowing up, then that's a pretty good indicator, right? If like things like types start changing and things like that, it just gets us a little closer to that like compilation. Like with Elixir, when I was doing big swaths of refactoring, if the thing didn't compile, I knew obviously I broke it, right? So it kind of like removes a sort of class of error from you. And so we're starting to get closer to that with this. So anyway, I spent this week working on retooling the plumbing, which is a whole thing, of course, we can talk about. And then once the plumbing was done, making sure that like the type declarations, everything were like stitched together properly, and then making sure that the other consumers of the library could actually like see those, because surprise, things aren't configured right. Like it doesn't matter, they just won't be usable. And then going through and starting to refactor a few components for examples for the team to like showcase gotchas and things like that. So it's been a wild week, and I ended up I got stuck for like a day and a half, not like straight, but just kind of every time I had time to go back to this thing, I just couldn't figure it out. And it ended up being like a 1-line diff change today that like just made it work.
How long was your commit though? Was your commit like a couple paragraphs at least?
No, it was just a sentence because it's all it needed to explain it, and it wasn't so okay. Hold
on. Before we get into this, I just had a question. So, what I remember, one of the things we talked about when you were first getting into TypeScript was that it feels like it has more value. It feels like it has the most value to library authors, right? Where you are, and I'm thinking of node packages here, but it really could be any library, right? You're writing something that you're like, other people are consuming it, right? And types have, I feel like, the most value there. We've got this interface, right? And it's the same with Elixir too, right? Like you don't have to write type specs for anything, but if you're a library author, you better have some in there for the docs and everything, so people know what the heck your things are doing. So you are basically writing a library, right? You said just being reusing a bunch of stuff, some of it you don't even have access to, just like a normal, open source project. So
yeah.
I guess my question is are you finding that having those types is providing value to the library, and like how much do you focus on like actually maintaining it so that every single like 100% of your public interface has functioning types on it?
Yeah. So yes. I think more benefit as of right now, because I'm working on this, and I'm not necessarily working on the other app as much, whereas my other devs are working on the other app more. I've kind of taken the responsibility of the tooling side of this, and like I do work for a consulting company, but this project is like a year-long project, and it's going to keep going for the rest of the year as well. So at this point, I'm basically working for a startup again. So it's gone from the MVP phase to like, let's get this thing out, to been launched, has customers, has rounds of feedback and research happening phase, right? So I've kind of taken over the tooling side of things, where I try to identify things that will become issues and deal with them now instead of pushing them off. And so I think that we will get a big, like one of the big boosts that we'll get on the other side, on the application side, is having, autocomplete at least for the library that I'm building, right? But also, it's not just auto-completing like what components are available here, what functions are available here, but like what are the props I can pass to this thing, what props are required. So there are tools that allow us to do this without TypeScript, like prop types and JSDoc and things like that, but TypeScript gives us that too. But also we get like, the compilation stuff, or like type checking stuff.
You sent me the screenshot in Discord a couple of days ago of some type error, and it basically filled my screen.
yeah.
Full
I
of
figured that out.
generics and union types, and God, it's unparsable by my brain.
Yeah, so there are a few keywords in there that I would pick out because I like knew what it was dealing with. So yes, I think there'll be benefits to the end users or the end consumers, the people that are writing the apps. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of benefit for me. As I'm going through this UI kit, like I didn't start it, I inherited it. And it's been like, it's had a bunch of people committing to it over time, but no real like one person kind of overseeing it till I came around. And because of that, there's, different approaches, different styles kind of used around. It's not super cohesive. And so I'm trying to get it to that cohesive point. And using like TypeScript is helping me learn more about things as I go. So I'll go and convert a bunch of or a few components to TypeScript and just start looking at errors and seeing, oh yeah, that's legit. That's a good refactoring opportunity, right? It's kind of like helping me identify these things, almost like a linter might in some cases. So that's been a huge, boon for productivity for me. It was a sludge. It was a sludge to get there, but it's helping me kind of inform my decisions on how I need to guide the API to change. The first pass completely backwards compatible without breaking stuff.
Sure.
And that's kind of where the hardest part went. Like, it'd be easier to rewrite this from scratch in TypeScript than like start applying types to it and having to go all the way up the chain to, fix stuff. And so this project is using MUI under the hood. So Material UI library for React. MUI has a function called the create MUI theme. And so that takes an object of configs and it spits out an object that's basically a compiled theme. So like if you're familiar with Tailwind, you got your Tailwind config and Tailwind spits out a bunch of CSS. So MUI spits out, an object that you can use to pass to other components to configure themes and things like that. So what happened is as a client over time, so MUI has a very kind of like narrow definition of what the theme is. And so there are actually like only maybe a dozen keys for the theme. So primary, secondary, error, success, kind of more generic terms. And over time, because this was just JavaScript, they would start to throw their own definitions of palette items into this thing, or like theme items into the theme. So when I started trying to convert it to TypeScript, it was like, oh, none of these are, like, we don't know what any of this stuff is.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just chucked it into the config object, and MUI is just going to pass it through, right? So that was one of the harder battles was, okay, how granularly do I want to like type this stuff, knowing that it's eventually being refactored anyway? Like, we already have an effort to clean up the theme. So it started out like being, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but we started out being like a semantic based palette. So, error, success, card, different elements, and you apply colors to those. Mm-hmm. And then towards the bottom, it's like BG gray, green, success blue. And it just kind of like just went off the rails. And so, one of the things I did was we just stopped using that. And then I slapped, theme.colors onto it, and then that way we can bypass that, we can clean it up later. But this all had to be typed, right? It's a mess, right? But
I'm thinking it was the XKCD comic where it's like, we have 237 competing standards, we need one standard to unify them all, and now there's 238 standards.
Yeah, thankfully we're the only ones working on it now, so we're actually like making dents in this, cleaning it up. But the only way to actually fix the theme was to not use it for a while.
It's like you're kind of bailing out a boat while it's sinking.
100%.
Like with a little shovel or a little bucket.
Yeah. So let me frame this for you. So you have MUI gives you typings for its kind of known theme values. It's known theme config, and you have to type it so that there's like a bunch of extras on top of it. How do you even go about like merging those two definitions? Like, do you create a new function that wraps MUI's function that returns a custom theme type that you control? Like, you could do that. Right. TypeScript also, TypeScript, I thought about that, honestly. So TypeScript
it's just
also
a function, Sean.
Just a function. But TypeScript also has a feature called module augmentation. Essentially, it's like merging, right? It's like type merging, interface merging. So the theme configs for TypeScript are defined, or for MUI are defined in MUI's library. I can't really go in and change those. But what I can do is I can make a new folder, usually called typings or types, and you can make a TypeScript or a declaration file. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen like TypeScript like .d.ts. That's a declaration file. So there's no essentially like runtime code in there. It's just like a declaration file.
So like a header file in
header file
parlance. Yeah.
So essentially, like when you're using a JavaScript project that has these typings, that's what you're using. It has a header file that has the types for it, like in it for you. So you can actually add your own folder, put your own typings files in there, and then tell your TS config, your TypeScript config, file to say, hey, include these types when you're compiling this, and essentially it will merge them. So you can actually say, like, let's say that we're wanting to add something to the theme type from MUI. The theme type or interface is defined in Material UI /core or /styles or whatever. In your type definition file, you can say at module, specify the path, open brace, and then you would say interface theme, and you put whatever else you want on it, and when it compiles, it stitches them together.
You're monkey patching, Sean.
You're monkey
Congratulations.
patching.
You're back in the bad old patterns of Ruby.
So yeah, I monkey patched all this custom stuff on the MUI, and it works great.
And it's still part of the honest to God MUI theme type. If you look at it, it's called whatever the actual type is called.
Mm-hmm. But it has to be though, because so I mentioned earlier, like we could wrap a function around create MUI theme and return our own type. But there are things like hooks that MUI gives you, like use theme. And so if you're in a component somewhere and you want to get access to the theme, you call use theme. And if you're only working with the custom theme, it's going to expect an actual MUI theme type. You know,
I hate this so much. The library gives you a type. A type is a contract, Sean. It's an interface. It says this thing has these values and these types, and you're just throwing that all out. You just say, yeah, no, you know what? I know what you just told me, but I'm just going to totally ignore that, and you're going to be okay with it.
Hey, I wasn't the one that ignored it in the first place. I just had to fix it, right? That's me sitting in my ivory tower, like I didn't write this code. No, that's true. Like, what kind of like to the point where I was talking about before, I think it's helping me inform my decisions and driving the maintenance of this project because, I've used MUI and I've looked at the theme config docs, but until you're pushed into only having like the concrete type to work with, you don't actually ever think about what are the boundaries, like what's bad about me just throwing keys onto this object.
Right.
Like it works, but what could be bad about this, right? And in this case specifically, like some of the keys that were thrown on, so the theme config objects that it wants, they're not just like key value string, it's key object with like main, secondary, light, contrast, like there's preset values. And so what happened was when they started throwing the custom things in there, they actually were just like putting strings on it, or some of them were strings, some of them were objects, and so you inherently lose that contract, you lose that consistency. And so bringing TypeScript back into it, yes, like you could have that consistency without TypeScript, but TypeScript kind of pushes you into it. You don't have a choice unless you start using any, which is bad, right?
That's no longer.
It kind of forces it on you, right? Which I like. I'm really learning to appreciate that. And even like going through and starting to convert components over to TypeScript-based components, I'm finding things that are like, this doesn't necessarily, it's kind of weird to do it this way, or it doesn't make sense, or why was this, why kind of questions. So yeah.
So you mentioned that, and I think this is the case for so many things, it would have been easier if you could start from scratch, right? Greenfield. The greenfield is always greener, right? What specifically, like TypeScript specific thing would you have done differently or done sort of ahead of time if you had this sort of greenfield approach where like you knew you were going to do this again, you knew all the requirements ahead of time, and you didn't have to slowly backsolve or backfill and put all this stuff in here? Like what are some of the TypeScript tools that you would have set up ahead of time that would like set you up for success here?
I don't think there's anything extra that you'd have to set up. It's just the fact that it's checking.
I meant like techniques and stuff. Like
techniques. I see.
Just like use it everywhere. Like strictly use the types from the library. Like what are some TypeScripty things that give you the most value if you had no technical debt?
Yeah, maybe stick to the abstraction. Like don't try to get too clever with stuff.
Interesting.
That's I think like a lot of stuff in here could be simplified if the requirement to have it be simpler was there. So there's a lot of things that were just kind of, I mean, yes, they're busy, they're a startup, but a lot of things were just kind of chucked in because it would work that way, And so, yeah, it's hard to like say any specific techniques. It's more so like with Elixir, I don't think you're necessarily applying more techniques. It's just that if the compiler doesn't compile, you can't run it. right? I mean, you can
Right.
still run it with this is the whole thing. You can still run the TypeScript if the TypeScript compiler doesn't run, because if like you're compiling your code with Babel, it just strips out the TypeScript stuff anyway. So
Right.
you could still run it, you know.
Right.
But I think like there probably are some techniques. I just haven't figured them out yet. All I'm trying to do is just make the compiler happy, and making the compiler happy tends to be me simplifying things.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Simpler. Yeah, when types are involved, simpler is better, I think.
well, that, and I think it makes you think more. Like, you can't just run through and change stuff however you want to. It has to be done a certain way, unless again you're abusing like any or things like that. But again, like Elixir, like, you know, if it doesn't compile, it can't run. You can't use it. It has to work the way the compiler wants it to work. It's not completely dynamic in nature, I suppose, at some level. I mean, you know, Elixir's not a typed language, but it has a compiler step. So hopefully that thought is making sense.
Okay. Yeah.
For my side, but yeah, so it's helping me. I think it's helping them too, but it's definitely helping me kind of like drive the maintenance of this thing. So
Are you using it internally as well, or is it mostly just applying the types on the sort of boundaries of this library?
yeah, we're using it internally. So we are exposing the theme stuff to the consuming apps, because they have to use some of those values, like the color values and spacing values and utilities and things. But we're also using it internally to build the UI kit itself. So the whole thing is basically MUI through and through. And the big chunk of it was, you know, figuring out how to do this, because there's several approaches. MUI actually encourage you to go the module augmentation approach. But I did some studying and looked to see what other people were doing, or what other people's approaches were to kind of doing the custom MUI theme too. But yeah, I think like if I had to do it all over again, and I actually was like involved in the beginning portions of it, it would be like, don't break the core rules of the theme. And that's like, if it's semantically based, don't start putting non-semantic things in there and conflating values, and don't start changing. Like, if all the theme.palette things are objects, don't put strings on it, you know, keep it consistent. That's really it.
Swift,
yeah.
even Swift has this concept of, they call them extensions, where you can basically monkey patch stuff onto existing classes. And but what's kind of cool about it is actually people use it as a code organization technique. So like you'll have like a view controller, right, that controls a table view, like a list of tweets or something, right? So they'll have different chunks of logic that all have to live on that one view controller class, split out as different extensions, just so they can, you know, logically separate it. So It's all, like you said, it's all just kind of being jammed together into one type, more or less. But you know, everything about, you know, fetching stuff for the table rows is here. All of the Twitter API stuff is here. All of the, I don't know, UI drawing stuff is here, right? And they just make a bunch of extensions and kind of group them logically. Which is kind of a cool thing, but it also allows you to do fun stuff like just put any method you want on core libraries. So
yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how the tooling is set up, and I don't think have you ever built like a TypeScript project from scratch?
No, I haven't even written TypeScript technically.
Okay, so it's a bit of a thing currently. So the project that I'm on, or the UI kit rather, is being built with Babel, and you're familiar with Babel?
Is Babel still the cool one?
I guess it's a. It's been dramatized lately because I won't bring it up. But you know, Babel basically, it's like one of the most popular.
I remember Browserify.
Oh yeah, so Babel is a little bit different.
Sure.
So
I'm just pushing your buttons. Yeah.
So
so Babel is a way of like sort of transpiling modern JavaScript into crappy JavaScript that browsers can understand.
Yeah. And so Babel basically also is like a tool chain, so you can add plugins to it. So you can add arbitrary transformations to it as well. In fact, I believe there's like a macro plugin that you can run that basically like breaks down the AST and sends it over, and you can mess with stuff that
Wow.
way.
And
Yeah,
so,
it's-
and Babel is what one piece of Webpack, right? Like Babel generally is the thing that Webpack uses to compile your JavaScript assets, right?
It can be. There are many, many loaders that Webpack uses. Inherently, they're not connected.
Oh,
You could use Babel loader inside of Webpack if you're using Webpack. That way, you
Okay.
could use Babel transforms, but they're not necessarily connected.
interesting. Okay. I
Yeah,
should
so-
know all this stuff considering I do this all the time, but
Right.
once I get it working, I just really don't want to ever touch it again.
Well, so you've used Webpack, which means you probably didn't necessarily have a reason to use Babel. Like you can use Babel CLI, and you could basically build JS for the web without using Webpack.
Actually, one time I did use Babel was when I was working on an Electron app, and I wanted to get some things in there that Chrome couldn't do natively. Right.
Mhm.
That was the one time, and that was years ago. So pre-Webpack. Anyway, that's I think the only time I've done it, directly.
Right. So you've got Babel. It transforms modern JS, ES6, whatever you're writing, ES 2018, whatever you're writing, into whatever you want to support, whether that is ES6 or ES5, ES3 even. You can have it do that. And so with Babel, Babel 7 has support for TypeScript now, but it doesn't do any type checking. All it does is remove type annotations. So it removes TypeScript's constructs completely from the TypeScript and just emits JS from it. So you could author in TypeScript and you can get type checking in your IDE or your editor, but there's no type checking in CI. There's no type checking anywhere else. It just emits JS. So that's what I was talking about earlier. The compiler could fail. Well, the type check could fail, but you could still get JS that's just going to run in the browser.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of nice because you can start introducing TS slowly into JS projects and not blow up the build tooling and build chain. Like let's say you start introducing it and you get 500 errors from the TS compiler. You could still just keep shipping to production as long as you know it runs. So that is kind of nice. But what happens if you want type checking? Like what happens if you want to, have a CI that fails if it doesn't type check? Well, you have a second tool. So you add
this is
TS
JavaScript. Why would this all be one package?
So when you add TypeScript, npmi-g TypeScript or MPI TypeScript, you get a tool called TSC, and that's the compiler. So you add to your linting or your CI scripts TSC, and if it fails, the build fails. And so now you have two separate compilation steps. So Babel can compile pretty fast because it doesn't compile the entire project over again, right? But with TypeScript, in many cases, it compiles the entire thing every single time. I guess I'm getting kind of foggy in the details here, but I guess there are some features like decorators and things where TypeScript actually needs to verify multiple files together, and so it can't just if you change one file, compile that one file. So that makes it a little slower. And so on our UI kit, I'm using a tool called Concurrently, and when you run npm dev, concurrently starts up the Babel tooling and the TSC tooling both in watch mode next to each other, and you get both outputs in one console. It just has them labeled with colors next to each other, kind of like if you've seen Foreman from Heroku, it'll say
I remember.
web db
Yep.
or Docker logs, it'll kind of have the label next to it. So that's how our tooling works on the UI kit. It starts them up both locally, and when you save a change, both watchers do what they need to do to compile things. And so I was talking about type declaration. Wow, I was talking about type declarations earlier. And so Babel strips out everything TypeScript and just spits out JavaScript files into a dist folder. And so I have to have TypeScript put the dist files back in, or the declaration files back in the dist folder. Luckily, that's really easy, but it's a two-step build process. Babel will delete dist, recompile the JS, put the JS back into dist, and then TSC will put the declaration files. TSC won't emit JavaScript. I have it. Let me back up. I could explain that clearer. So
No, this is perfectly clear. I'm understanding perfectly.
you don't technically need Babel at all. You could just have TSC actually emit the JavaScript and the declarations for you.
That would be too simple.
Right. But I didn't want to completely strip away Babel. So Babel adds the JavaScript, and then TSC just puts the declaration files only into the dist folder. And now we have a nice JS package with actual type declarations included. That was a mouthful.
That's a lot of steps for just, CP some files.
Yep. So I mentioned,
yeah.
like you can get away with, you can do this without Babel. Like you can use TSC to do it. TSC is a watcher mode. And then if you're running like dev servers that need JavaScript to be compiled first, you can do like TS Node, which will restart a node process once the TypeScript has finished compiling. So there's tools out there. You just have to know, you kind of have to know what to look for. And that's the hard part, is like reading, like stumbling through this first to figure it out. So
yeah, you've repeated over and over that the hardest part about TypeScript is getting it set up.
yeah. Then the second hardest part about TypeScript is React and its generics. I don't know. That's one thing I miss about Elixir is like that nice standard. Generally, things are pretty well documented. And, with JS, it's kind of, there's no standard documentation thing. It's kind of like you're at the mercy of whatever maintainer wrote. And I don't mean that to sound negative towards maintainers, but, there's not one standard build tool out there. So that's been a little bit difficult. And like in converting JSX to TSX, you have to be more deliberate about like your props and events and things like that. So, say like a form, like you have a form event listener on a form, and the form submits, and your event listener receives an event object. If you're just working with JS, it's just an event object.
Yeah, just E. I did call it E. Don't even have to type out
Call
the
it
word
E.
event.
If you're working with TypeScript, what kind of event is it? Is it an HTML form event? Is it a select box event? Is it an input element event? Is it because some of them have slightly different APIs, and you can do slightly different things with all of them. So you have to like, this is what I mean. Like it kind of forces you to think about this stuff up front. Like you actually have to know the type of thing that you're dealing with to deal with it, to make the compiler happy, which is. Some people will be like, why? It makes you so slow. And I don't know, there's trade-offs, right? But I kind of like that it forces you into having to know. Because I had to learn about like the differences between all these different event types and stuff like that. So, yeah, but that's like the second biggest thing is like, I haven't found one single place in the React docs where it like shows me which all things are generics that I can, So, hey, Paul, what's up?
Paul Straw says, quote, TypeScript is the best thing to happen to JavaScript since CoffeeScript, end quote. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's being sarcastic.
He's not.
If he's being negative.
He loves it.
All right. I know he does, but it's just the way he sounded. I'm like, CoffeeScript was okay, but I get the sentiment.
I mean, to be clear, I like it too. I enjoy it. Like I wouldn't choose to author a plain JS project unless I had a very specific reason to. But yeah, there's a lot more to it. But I think like kind of like when Phoenix 1.3 came out and everyone was like, "You're making us think too much," right? It's like that vibe.
I mean, I'll never forget .NET 1.0. I don't know where I got this, but when .NET came out, somehow I got access to, I think it might have come with some MSDN thing, a poster, like big, 30 by 20 poster of the entire .NET framework. Every class, hierarchy, interface on a poster, color-coded with their little, Microsoft Office blue, orange, yellow, little, gradients, little bubbles floating around there.
Yeah.
And, I think they even use the little icons, right, that Visual Studio uses for those different types. And it was the entire .NET framework. I mean, it was so small at that point. I mean, it looked huge, but it's tiny compared to what it is now. And just seeing everything laid out there, and you're looking at it, you're like, there are so many things. To your point, like how many different types of events can be raised by WinForms? There's like 17 different ones. Mouse click, mouse down, or just generic mouse
Right.
event. Text changed. There's even just like a generic base one, which if you don't know what it is, you can just use the base class, and you're not going to get a lot of functionality from it, or at least the types will match. And
Yeah.
when you're wiring up event handlers, and yeah, I remember, man, just staring at that thing and like, wow, this is so big. I'm never going to learn this all. Like, but it, C# and VB.net, and like they force you into like that's it. You don't have any other options there. So
Yeah.
to your point of it would have been nice if we had this from the beginning. Well, guess what? Typed languages have had this from the beginning for a long time. So Yeah. You just have, I mean, you came up through Ruby and JavaScript and just languages that didn't have it, right? PHP.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, there are other options for building UIs too, but you know, it's hard to like you got like Element, things like that, but those are pretty bespoke, you know. So yeah, I'm happy like with the choices or like what the tech that I have. I really wish that I could have been around earlier on when they started building the thing that I'm working on now. But I guess some of that's probably hindsight too, to be fair to them, you know. But yeah, like after, you know, I say a week, it's only been a couple, like really 2.5 days of working on this stuff. It felt longer. And really like the thing that really got me was, like I said, a 1-line diff earlier. It got me so bad I ordered a pizza this afternoon and ate it.
that's the thing about pizza. Like you can, if you're sad, you order a pizza and make yourself happy. If you're happy, you order a pizza to celebrate.
That's right. It was kind of both.
I think they call it melancholy.
Well, so I went in the MetaLab has the developers channel where all the developers are in it, and it's like it's not very active. People will ask questions, and so I went in there. I was like, "Hey, has anyone made a JS package that included type definitions? I'm having trouble." And it went round and round with MetaLab, the engineer that's been at MetaLab the longest. And he was like, "Sorry, I can't help you out." I was like, "All right." So then today I was like, "FYI, I'm an idiot. Here's the answer." And he just said, "LOL." So anyway, yeah, I had TypeScript and everything going. Compiling was going. I was getting some autocomplete in the consumers of the package, but it just wasn't working like how I knew it should be working. I was going round and round, and some people were like, "Oh, have you checked the exports? Like maybe it's the way the exports are set up. Have you checked this? Have you checked that? Are you compiling to CommonJS? Are you compiling to modules?" So round and round we go. And what actually had happened was, remember I talked about module augmentation earlier?
And remember when I said danger?
So it wasn't anything to do with the UI kit. It was the other app that uses the UI kit early on had added an empty module declaration so that way TypeScript wouldn't complain about like, "Hey, I don't know what this thing is that you're using." And so there was just a 1 line in a folder in there that was declaring this module that was just empty. And so I think it was just like overriding or superseding whatever I was sending it. And so of course, like you're not going to get any, it's just empty. And so I'm looking around, and finally I go into the consumer. I was like, maybe there's something weird going on over here. I look in TS config. Sure enough, I'm like, oh, there's a typings folder in here. Let me go into that. Sure enough, there it is. Delete it. Immediately, I had it open in 2 tabs. So I had a test file where I was importing all these things that should just be auto-completed. And I had this other file open in a split. And I commented it out, and I saw the colors of the functions change in the other file. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
And all because someone just needed to stub something out so they could get their work done.
Yep.
What's the lesson here, Sean?
It's done, and done is the best. I don't know what the saying is.
Done is there's a phrase for this. Don't put me on the spot.
Call it done. Done is a function of done. I don't know.
Done is an engine. Done is the engine of more, Sean.
That's right. So then I just kept working after that. I was like, well.
Yeah. See, I have the opposite thing. Get one thing done, ship it, time, go home. You earned your pay, man. No, I can't do that. You can't actually do that when you're hourly.
So I think honestly, like talking about another benefit, and this isn't even TypeScript, but like a benefit of making these changes to the UI kit is like the light thing is going away, and there are other things that are going away. And so I marked them as deprecated with JSDoc in the package. And so now when they're imported or they're used in the other in the package app or the other apps, there's just a fat strike through in it, like light theme. Get out of here! Like don't use it.
And then Sean reaches through the screen and slaps you for trying to use it.
That's right. I see it in the MR. I'm like, don't you see this is crossed out? Yeah. So there's some really big benefits like coming out of this last few days of frustration. I think going towards maintainability and maintenance for the team, and especially them using it. Like we don't have any contact with them, but hopefully people aren't just like continuing to like, if they start using a method and it's struck through and it says deprecated, like maybe they should not continue to use it, or like maybe they should just delete what they were writing, you know, hopefully. But yeah, some big wins, I think, in maintainability coming from the tooling.
Jaggy says done is better than perfect, and that's actually one of the things is laugh at perfection. It's boring, keeps you from being done. And of course, it further hits home the point that I somehow fat fingered a copy paste. But you know what? It's not perfect, but it's done.
That's right. Yeah. So that's been my week so far. Tomorrow is going to be like MR review, and they're going to be checking out my branch and working with the updated TypeScript version as well. And then I'll probably do like a lunch and share with the team on kind of like all the TypeScript that I picked up. There's a lot of stuff that I picked up that I didn't necessarily talk about today, like regarding TypeScript and types. And
I was gonna say, just put the stream on and just have them watch.
yeah, just me just complaining. Yeah, it's good. It was good learning for me, and I think it'll be able to translate back to the team really well, which is great. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Cool. Well, one type at a time. I'm sure you'll get there. You'll achieve this perfect utopia of well-typed, strongly typed, non-deprecated objects.
Well, at least if anything good comes out of this, it's that we would have considered every piece going forward, which I think is the real win. I think that's the real win, especially over time. So again, like I mentioned before, this is one of MetaLab's longest running projects, so I've been told, and we are basically in startup mode with them. It's not MVP mode; it's been released mode. So it's like we had to change some of our processes around how we work. Like we had to start, we talked about this a few weeks ago. We had to start like having a ratio of like 70% product work, 30% engineering work, cleanup work, pick up as you go work, refactor work. So I think this project has been like super rewarding for me, but also the team I'm with too, because it's a new experience for them. For me, it's flashbacks of DK and what I should have done, right? So it's giving me a chance to redeem myself. So
no, that's good. Listen, you got the experience. You're leveraging that. That's why you can pay the big bucks, man. Your water bottle is actually showing through the. Hold that up. Oh, before, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to spill it on myself.
No, but it's cool that you're able to take the lessons from your previous experience and actually get to apply them. I mean, that's kind of the dream, right?
Yeah.
And that system works, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess the benefit also is switching processes up. So I think we talked about how we're doing feature lead stuff. This gives me way more time to do this stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely freed up a lot of my time to be able to really dig into these things if I'm not in Google Docs all day or in Jira all day. We're kind of sharing that work. So that turned out to be a huge benefit to productivity as well.
Cool.
Yes, I'm going to knock on this table and make sure nothing bad happens because it's all been going pretty well, smoothly.
What type is that table? What properties does it have?
It is semi-hollow. It's a door, actually. I'm using a door as a table right now.
Wait, so that sounds like a union type. It sounds like you've got a door, vertical bar.
Oh,
table.
God. Okay, so you want to have a conversation about... You ask anybody, like, okay, go searching. When should I use interface? When should I use type? You'll get some opinions. But it's like 50-50. Or like you ask the question like, okay, say you're typing a React component. What do you use for the prop types? A type or an interface? Like it seems like it should be an interface, right? But again, 50-50. You won't get a clear, concrete winner. And then there are other things too, like oh my God. So we have an object of blessed UI kit colors, right? So once upon a time, there was designs, there was code, they weren't working together, and colors were different. So I came in and was like, we need to figure this out. So we have a blessed set of UI kit colors that translate into the, we're facing that went out slowly. And so I mentioned that I put a colors object on the top, like theme config, right? Or the theme type. And I wanted it to be autocomplete. So when you do theme.colors dot, you actually see the color names, not like, oh, it's a string, you know, you have to guess. And so
Cornflower blue.
right. Well, in TypeScript, you can do type of, and if you have an object like that, it'll actually give you the type of, and those basically are literals at that point, right? So when you do theme.colors dot, you actually get the literal values there, which is really nice. And so it turns out that was really easy to slap on an interface, and it was like a huge win for productivity there. But you have these other things called map types where you can do all this wild stuff with map types. And if I'm remembering correctly, you can only do a lot of it on types and not interfaces. So there are some functional things. I just don't know enough to know when is best to use what.
Yeah, I don't know enough to
Get a meta program some types together, Rockwell.
too meta for me. Can you do that with macros? I can code myself into some pretty hairy corners with macros. You want me
I need to
you
go
want me to
find
do
like a real TypeScript expert and get them on the show.
Well, queue up the guests, man.
Yeah.
Well, did you get it all out of your system? You feeling sufficiently
Hold on, let me pull up the code real quick. I'm
cathartic
sure I
about
can like
no,
see something.
No pulling up code. No pulling up code. We don't. You got your blood pressure down. You had some pizza. You worked through all your issues. Now it's nap time.
Thomas knows some TypeScript.
You think Thomas might know someone with TypeScript? He probably knows the guy who invented it. I'm pretty sure he does know that guy.
Yeah. Well, that's about all I've got so far, or in me right now. I could, if I'm not allowed to look at the code to like remind myself. Shout out to both Paul Straw and Kid Queb. I don't know if Kid's around, but letting me just yell into a Discord at them.
I haven't even had a chance to follow. I know I saw a lot of stuff flying by there. I just haven't had the time, man, to read through it. But shout out to Discord.
We have a DM where we just let it fly.
Oh, okay.
3-way DM, yeah. Yeah, shout out to Discord too. People there have been super helpful as well. I try to go back and update with my learnings if I get stumped. So
yeah. Welp.
The old salt room. That's right. Where no judgment is passed.
Is that not what the void is for? I'm really confused about the rules of the void.
I have it muted, so I haven't looked at it. I forget it's there. Oh, people have been posting it. Today at 3 o'clock even. The void. I need to unmute
I'm still
this.
unsure about rules of the void, but yes, you should unmute it. It's interesting. It's about as crazy as we get over there.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's a show.
Ship it.
Oh, that's true, Paul. That is true. Well. If you're learned in TypeScript more than me, hit me up because we'd like to talk to you. I've got some questions and I need answers.
You can hit up Sean on the Twitter, Sean Washbot. I'm Shrockwell. And the show is DNC Cast.
Everything we talked about today, all the mentions, articles. What else did we talk about? We talked about video. We talked about some videos today too, I think. All that's going to be in the show notes, and you can get those.
Nardwuar and the Evaporators.
That's right. The Evaporators. Paul knows the Evaporators. If you want to check out the Evaporators, you should head on over to dnc.show. Check out the show notes. I'll put some links in there. I'll put a link to that song about cheese.
Is that some kind of like Star Wars A New Hope reference? Moisture Evaporators?
I doubt it.
I mean, I know there's the band Nerf Herder. I love them. That's a little more clearly in the Star Wars vein, though. We're also doing the Twitch every Thursday, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, twitch.tv/DNCcast. We're having a lot of fun here. We got a bunch of people watching and chatting and feeding back in our feed. Come on by on Thursdays. You don't have anything better to do. I mean, maybe once you get vaccinated, go outside or something, but not on Thursday nights. You should be here.
And we haven't talked about Discord yet, have we? The Discord. Well, we mentioned it briefly. We talked about the
Wait.
Void a little bit.
We have a Discord?
Yeah, we have a Discord, and
Is
we
that
have
like,
a Void
is that
Void
like
channel.
IRC?
It's more like yeah,
ICQ.
ICQ. That's what I'm thinking of.
312-11083. It's my
But-
ICQ number. Add me.
If you want to hang out with other developers, other like-minded developers, if you want to learn, if you want to help other people learn, you should check out the Discord. If you look at the show notes, again at dnc.show, there will be an invite waiting for you.
Shout out to the Void channel. The topic just says shout into the void. Anger, frustration, politics, no holds barred, posting things that need to be posted, but don't really belong to any corporeal concept of topic. Shout into the void and see what shouts back.
Even if you're vaccinated, the CDC recommends testing your code. That says Thomas. Is this official stance of Microsoft?
Can we get Satya to confirm this? That's what we should do. We should what's it called when you rebrand something or you remarket it? You
Repurpose?
I guess rebrand. We should rebrand testing as vaccinating. Vaccinate your code against bugs. I should submit a PR that just changed the test folder to the vaccine folder. See what happens.
Shot emoji.
Yeah.
What would happen then?
Can you use emoji in folder names? How many CI things would break? Probably all of them.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm fading. The pizza's hit me like a brick.
All right. Well, I'll let you go digest. Save some for me next time. And everyone else here in the chat, because we're all hungry now.
Oh no. Sultan says, as of today, the CDC says you can go back to relying on QA. That hits home, man.
Too real.
Yeah. Because we have a VQA column in our Jira sprint now, so how did you know? Anyway. I'll catch you next week.
All right, man. Have a good night. Wait, hold on. Bop. Did I do it right?
What?
You say bop when you stop recording.
Oh, really?
I hear everything. This metal drum is pretty banging.
The timpani?
No, timpani's a big drum. It's like a little like Jamaican.
This is a
Metal
small
drum.
timpani.
They're called timpanis?
Yo, Sultan, what are they called?
I thought timpani was like a big, like Gustav Holst Mars. No? I saw an awesome video. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was showing them how they make these drums. They take like a piece of metal and you clamp it down, and then like a hydraulic press pushes it over this form. Pretty cool. Happy Friday, Sean.
Yeah, it's
If you keep
gonna.
saying it, it'll become true, right?
I'm tired, man. I'm really enjoying these half Fridays. Enough time to like be, close out some MRs and things like that. Feel a little bit productive, and then going to go about your way.
That's good. That's good. Because like, really, what are you doing the second half of the day, anyways?
So I mean, I would have used it for like L&D time myself anyway. So now I just kind of work on side projects for the next half of the day.
Good.
Yeah, I was chatting with Drew. I don't think Drew's around right now, but he runs Protege.dev, which is a job board for junior devs.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And yeah, he had a couple of dev questions with me, and so I think like I'm gonna try and spend some time on Fridays contributing back to that.
12 to 5 tomorrow, Thomas.
Good luck, Thomas.
Compass, like the Jeep. What is Compass? Their name's familiar.
They do real estate stuff, right?
Like MLS kind of.
Hey, Shy Ryan, that's a good song. Good cover. Agreed. I think Compass, Thomas, are they the real estate company? Because I looked up Compass after you were talking about it.
I've heard that. I've heard that cover. That is really good. Really good.
Yeah, real estate. That's the one. Yep. Are we going to be TypeScript pals? They're the front end one, right?
Compass is one of those words where you look at it or you say it enough and you kind of get semantic satiation and stops looking like a real word. Oh, CRM platform. Interesting.
Hey, I don't know if you're around, Jaggy, still, but thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks, Jaggy. What time is it there? Where is he?
I can't divulge this information.
Okay. He's not in our country, right?
Oh, you found your Twitch account? Nice.
That's all it took. One login.
10:30 a.m.
Oh my goodness. You're 12 hours off. Wow.
You forgot the drum emoji, Thomas. Yeah, it really is Friday there.
All right, so can we go back to maybe chat can help with this? HDMI adapters for DSLR cameras. I really don't want to. I've got this, not DSLRs, but just I've got a camera here. It's got an HDMI thing. The USB webcam support literally does not work. Sean recommended some HDMI to USB adapters. Can you recommend something that they like that is reliable that works? Because I'm about to buy one and just wanted to crowdsource this. Sean recommended the Elgato. Let me see if I can find that. Elgato.
Elgato is the expensive one, but it just is like Old Faithful.
Elgato Cam Link, Paul Straw says it's the only way. I mean, it literally is a business expense at this point. Slight lag. What's the GH4? Is that like a hub or something? Two votes for Elgato.
Yeah, man. I plugged the Elgato in and then plugged it into the GoPro, and it like I had what is the photo book or whatever it's called, photo booth. I had that open and I plugged the cam link into it, and then suddenly I was looking like up my own nose, like, whoa, it's working. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't have to do anything. I just plugged it in and it worked.
Both crap compared to the Elgato. Okay. Damn it. All right. This is not what I was hoping for, but this is fine. I wonder if I can mount it inside the ring light. That would be kind of perfect, I think.
It comes with a very short USB 3 cable. Like you can plug it directly into something if you need to, but it comes with a very short USB 3 cable.
Yeah, the short cable is key. Just for strain relief purposes.
Sure.
Do I need a 4K? I don't need 4K. I'm not going to stream at 4K. It's way too many bits. So they make a deeper 1080p version. Shop now. Guess not. Oh, yeah, that's a good question, Shy Ryan. Make sure the camera can do the naked screen thing. Clean HDMI out. Yes, I will need to look into that. That is a good call. Thank you. A good call out. That's a phrase that everyone at Dockyard uses, and now I'm adopted. That's a good call out.
Yeah, Metal Lab too.
And I actually called someone out for using it, and then now he's like self-conscious. Like, man, everyone says that here. He's like, oh god, now I'm gonna notice it. Connection setting. Connection mode. There's something called zebra setting. I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. You takes videos of zebras only? Maybe it's like a moire effect? I don't know. HDMI output info display. HDMI output info display. I assume... Oh, focus peaking.
I also don't know what that is.
Well, that's more... There's separate settings for that. That's interesting, Paul. All right, HDMI output info display is off by default. So I think that's what I want. Really what I should do is get a just get a cable first and just try it on my TV or something. Make sure it looks okay. That's what I should do. I need a mini HDMI. Oh, focus peaking but for exposure. Interesting.
Yeah, I had to go buy a mini HDMI cable. I'd never even seen one before.
Make sure it's mini or micro. Yeah, it's two different ones, isn't it? This is why I love you guys. This is awesome info. Yeah, because I know the Raspberry Pis, the new ones, have something. Oh, here's a specific part. Yeah, it looks like it's micro. Micro. It almost looks like a USB mini size.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Let me see. I might have one.
In the flea market, as Brian would say. It's been super nice to use on calls for me instead of having to use my phone. I forgot how annoying it was to slap a phone up there every time.
Digging through my box.
Oh, God.
You gonna make it, dude?
Trying to crack my neck.
Oh, I thought the pizza was settling.
Little gantry.
Plain HDMI cables. VGA and a DVI cable because you never know. You never know. Optical audio from when I had grand plans for a home theater system that never materialized with 5.1.
I've got
I,
one of
like,
those laying around.
Used it exactly once and yeah. HDMI to DVI because they're actually the same thing, kind of, asterisk. Bag of adapters. No such luck. Have to go to Radio Shack in the morning.
What is that? I thought they went under.
Yeah, they're long gone.
Hey, yo, anybody read any science fiction around here? I need some book recommendations.
Thomas is going to recommend Dune.
I've started it, never finished it. I just started reading the new Andy Weir book, but I need one after that. It helps me sleep. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I pick up my Kobo, and then like after 2 pages, I'm gone, and it's great.
Yeah, that's Dune for me. Is why I'm never gonna finish it. I get half a chapter in, and the lids are closed.
It's like Watson. I was asking about white noise machines because Watson makes some noises for sure. It's almost as if he has sucked his mouth curtains up into his nose, and I'm like, what is happening over there? Then I realized, oh, I'm awake again. So he makes the funniest noises when he sleeps.
You're right, Thomas. I do need to finish it before
I thought about that. Yeah. And Foundation too. I want to see Foundation as well on Apple TV.
Oh, is that are they doing a series or a movie?
Series, I think. I've never really read any manga or comic stuff. I've got actually Shy Ryan. I should introduce you to somebody at some point. I've got a buddy who is working on his own comic stuff, and he's actually like a super talented artist.
Boy, these micro HDMI cables all look a little different.
How many Dune books are there?
I don't know. A bunch. 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't remember. I do not want the movie Dune in my chocolatey drink. Really old Dane Cook. Just read the first one or two. Okay. Amazon's choice.
Where is the thing? It's called...
Ooh, Amazon has braided 4K HDMI cables now. Ooh, Amazon Basics. $8? Hell yeah.
This is what I'm reading now.
Project Hail Mary.
Got me all paranoid about the sun, Rockwell. It's been pretty cloudy here the last few days.
What did I do?
The book's got me paranoid about the sun. And that's not a spoiler either. That's like in chapter 1, okay? It's been super nice break. I'm still doing my note taking stuff, but like in the evenings, instead of trying to read anything technical, I'm just giving myself a break, playing games or reading science fiction instead.
Sure. I wonder if I should get a right angle on one of these. Such a tiny connector to put all that strain on. Oh, man.
I'm trying to find the lyrics. I thought maybe they'd be in this YouTube video, but maybe not. You just gotta watch this Addicted to Cheese song by the Evaporators. What's up, Kid Queb? If only.
Oh, yeah, book club.
I think I can still log in my account, right? Logged right in, baby. New group. Here we go, everybody. Going on 5 months. When's the rewrite in Nest happening, though? $401, come on. Get out of here with that. All right. I'm trying to use chapter chat right now, okay? How many chapters are in, say? Writing monotonous in Nest tomorrow? On your half day? How many chapters this book got?
Yeah, this guy, I'm watching this guy's video about this thing. He's got the cam link.
Dude, I can't even tell. I'm just going to say 22. Hopefully I can change it later. I'm just going to keep trying to use chapter chat, Nick. You can't stop me now. Cover URL. Come on.
What are you doing?
I'm looking at the API responses he's got going on over here.
I guess I'm buying a cam link.
Oh, yeah? Going straight for the good ones?
I guess so. Like, I asked, I got a response. Like, I'm not gonna not take people's advice. Like, what is my time worth here?
Also, hold on. Thanks for the raid, Nick. I wasn't at the Twitch stream manager. So
Oh yeah, we can't
appreciate
see that
What's up,
over
everybody?
here.
No.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Quick! Ah, cool. Play
Everyone
cool.
just watching me like dick around Nick's Kid Queb's API.
Share your screen. Share your screen. Make this some actual content.
You have to ask Kid Queb if that's okay.
Do we have an NDA? Do we need
His
an NDA?
unreleased web app that I'm digging around. Inspecting the
yeah,
payloads
maybe not kosher.
for. Yeah.
I mean, he's in here. You can get advice or get permission.
What's this monotonous you keep talking about? What were you just working on your stream, Queb?
Is there some chat going on? Because my chat is not updating.
No.
Okay. I didn't want to put this in the show, but we had our stand-up meeting today, and there's a guy on our team who self-proclaimed is very into swords. He just keeps saying, "Ask me about my swords."
What?
I don't know. He's just really like swords, I guess. But they're never like in, and he's never in the background or anything. He just apparently has them all around, so you can't see him. But today we're having our stand-up meeting, and he's just like standing there, like swinging the sword back and forth, like putting it on his shoulder and like doing all kinds of stuff. Just in the middle of the stand-up, just walking around the room.
Some people can just appreciate a good blade. Are you one of those people, though?
But will it kill?
Is Monotonous? Oh, there it is. There it is. I found it. I'm in.
I'm in. All right. Placing order. Thank you for the suggestion for the Agata Cam link. It'll be here Saturday, which means next stream, maybe I won't have a potato camera. I need to get a tripod mount thing, too.
That was a weird sound.
Excuse you. Battery box AC adapter. That's a great question, Paul. I don't. But it does charge over USB-C, so that should be okay. Assuming the charge rate is fast enough. Assuming it doesn't drain faster than it charges, right?
So
USB-C should be okay.
what I did was, I'm using an old GoPro, and so when you plug the USB cord in, it goes into USB mode. And so I figured out that if you just plug it in a little bit, it charges the GoPro, but doesn't go into USB-C or USB charging mode. So that's all I'm doing.
But you brought up a good point, Paul, is that the battery door does have the little rubber flap that lets a cable pass through. So it is designed to be used with some kind of battery AC adapter.
A dummy battery? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what Paul was talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's just a thing that sticks into the where the battery goes, but it's empty, but it has a cable hanging off it.
Hey kid, I like this scrappiness of this file right here.
Reinit, drop DB, create DB. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this.
I don't see anything wrong with it. I have one too to relink because the UI kit that I work on has to be relinked occasionally. I have a shell script to like reset the UI kit and its linkages on all the different apps that use it. Move fast and break everything.
I don't think it's break everything. I don't think that's how it goes.
What is going on here in line 9?
Hold on, let's see. PSEF, can you zoom in a little bit? It's hard to see. So PSEF grep is that Prisma?
Yeah, Prisma.
And then he's grep v grep, so he's excluding, because when he's grep for something, grep initially shows up. So then he has to strip out grep from itself. Then he's using awk to print the second word in the line, which is the PID, the process ID, and then he's piping.
He's killing it.
And then it's XR.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unix is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing.
Did you look at the ZX thing that someone shared the other day?
Oh my god, I love that title, whatever that is. Is that all
Was it ZX, Paul?
UTF-8?
What? This?
No, yeah, what is that? Is that
It's an image.
Characters.
Well, let's look at the README, shall we? Well, that didn't help at all.
Raw. Go raw.
I clicked on the pencil.
Oh, it is an image.
Yeah, it's just a ping.
ZX. What is ZX?
Oh, so yeah, so someone shared this in Discord, but I don't remember if you saw it or not.
No.
Yeah, so it says Bash is great, but when it comes to writing scripts, people usually choose more convenient programming language like Node or something.
That's a nice way of saying that Bash shell scripting sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. ZX package provides useful wrappers around child process, escapes arguments, and gives sensible defaults.
So is this... So this is Node.
Yeah.
$sign is like a run command. Await, promise.all. Boy.
This is awesome.
This is something.
No, awesome is the word you're thinking of.
Can I just do any node in here? Why don't I just run node? I guess what it says is wraparound child process. I see TypeScript.
What? That's kind of interesting.
Is that TypeScript or no? Is it something else?
Yeah, it's yeah. Looks like TypeScript to me.
Oh, wait, question. What is your username? It's just functions, Sean.
Well, so the Notion public API access came out today. It's in public beta anyway. And I thought about making a tool to pull show notes from Notion and drop them into Simplecast via the API.
To save yourself the 3 minutes of copying pasting you do every week.
I can't be bothered to do it.
Clearly.
Oh, cool. Chalk too. Nice.
Oh, is that the colors?
And FS. OS package too. Nice. That's cool. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this?
The issue to star open issues to star ratio is very low, which is a green check mark for me. 22 issues for 13,000 stars is a good ratio.
So monotonous. I just want to. What is this now? TypeScript monorepo template. Okay, to create organized, flexible apps. We'll see. Fastify, Mercurius, Nexus, and Prisma.
Oh, so this is an opinionated glob of things.
I know what two of these are. Well, yeah, two of these, and I know what these are. Okay, got packages. I like that. I like that. I like this too.
Just keep highlighting it. Mm-hmm.
I see Jess in here. Nick, you getting some testing? My God. Okay, so you're matching anything in the test directory or anything with spec or test in the file name. ES build, okay. So by monorepo, I suppose it's because these could technically be their own apps with their own deploys and everything. What is CodeGen? Is this a GraphQL thing? Okay.
Oh, interesting. Oh, reads in. What is that? It reads in GraphQL files and.
Is this the Mercurius thing? I don't even know if GitQueb is still around.
He's too busy breaking things.
So what are schema ops?
Yeah, let's look at the schema. Yeah. No, too far. Too far. Back up. Back up. Right there. Schema.graphql.
Hold on. A lot.
A lot.
I can
Like the
appreciate
animal?
that. Okay. So Nexus is the GraphQL thing.
Okay.
All right. So he's got some boilerplate in here for admin billing members.
And this is all generated just based off of TypeScript nonsense?
So let's go to CodeGen again. So it reads in apps, web. Let me go back to it one more time. No. This. No. What am I looking for? Good God. CodeGen.
We lost.
Here we go.
Lost the
Apps
lost
web.
the
Oh,
thread here.
okay. So it looks at all these and then all these documents. Okay.
GraphQL operations. That's what I'm curious at. Let's dig through that.
So these are the reads, and this is like the definition of those.
Documents. Go into something there. Yeah. Just looks like regular stuff. Query. Okay. God.
I'm just flying around here. Need, I won't do that. Needs docs.
What are the? Well, hold on. What are those buttons? What are those IntelliJ buttons? What the hell is that?
I can just clone it and open it in a thing.
Oh my god.
What?
Nothing. I've just gone back to using VS Code all day. Sorry.
So Nexus, he's using Nexus.
Declarative code first. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Close the X here. So there's Nexus. What is Mercurius? Well, GitHub?
JS.
Yeah, that's a good guess, JS. A GraphQL adapter for... Oh, that's right. Okay. He did tell me what this was once.
This is the server
GraphQL
side.
adapter for Fastify. Yeah, so Fastify is like what would be Express essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's way faster, given Fastify, but it actually is way faster. And Mercurius is the GraphQL adapter for it, and it seems pretty legit from what he's shown me. This is kind of nice. Batch queries,
cool.
and also the federation support too is interesting. What is GraphQL? This is crazy. Interesting.
Man.
So we're ballooning now. Subscriptions, cool. Customizable persistent queries, cool. Yeah, it seems pretty fully featured. Okay, so let's see here. Quick start. We got pull and Fastify, pull and Mercurius, create a new app, define a schema, define our resolvers, which is, you do that in any, say you're using Absinthe or whatever, same deal.
Mhm.
Schema and resolvers. You register the plugin and you pass in your schema and resolvers, and then it just works.
That's pretty dope. I dig it.
Yeah.
That's how they get you. That's how they hook you.
Examples. Okay. Gateway, subscription, hooks, loaders. Let's look at loaders. Okay, so we got Fastify, Mercurius, app, dogs. It's going to ask for, or no, this is probably just a store. This will probably be part of the
this is
response,
just the
right?
stuff they're fetching. Yeah.
Yeah, so your database. So we got human, dog, and a query for dogs. It returns a list of dog.
Can we submit a PR in here and get Sean and Watson in here?
Thomas and Winona. Paul and Butters. All right, so we got resolvers, query.
Paul has many dogs.
So dog for query, whatever that is.
Wait. What happens if you click that on dogs?
It goes to different references or definitions.
Is that a GitHub thing? It's weird. Okay.
Yeah, GitHub, there's a whole thing on it. They use Haskell, I believe, to generate these.
Wow.
It's only turned on for JavaScript and TypeScript and Go and maybe Ruby and a few other languages, but yeah, you can actually do some IntelliSense, which is kind of cool. Super nice to jump around things. Okay, so now you have loaders. So resolvers query dogs, it returns dogs, you got loaders. So for a dog, you have an owner method, queries, and then reply, which is here. Same thing as here.
Return queries.map. Obj.
Oh, so you're literally, you're doing the stitching yourself. You're getting the object that's being queried for, and then you're getting the owners. You're getting the owner out of, yeah. So object would be the person then, and then you go and get the full response. Interesting. So you're kind of responsible for
Is this the
handling
data
a lot.
loader?
I guess that that can make sense because you kind of have to do that anyway. Like it's the actual specifics of it are like business level most likely, right? Because like in with Absinthe, I had to do a lot of this for products and stores and stuff, and I kind of had to do like the stitching of the relationships. But once I got it configured right, it worked really well. That's cool. At least it's there. Like I remember when I was working with Go, I was using GQL Gen, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And it kind of had a data loader type thing, but it was real. It was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. But yeah, I used GQL Gen for that one project that I didn't work on. I don't want to look at this.
Yeah, right. It's getting late here, dude. It's 11 o'clock.
All right, yeah.
So
Could let you go.
I'm gonna. I mean, feel free to keep poking through readmes, man. Don't let me slow you down.
Learn about me curious. Next, we're looking at Nest.js.
All right.
This is a new hotness.
God, too many frameworks. This one has a cat on it, at least. So, a couple of cats. Look, it's Bucky. Scroll down. No, that's kind of what Bucky looks like.
Oh, here you go, Rockwell. Oh no, go back. My CPU.
Yeah, you're really chugging.
So this one's on TypeScript. It uses Express under the hood and a few other like bigger ecosystem things.
Mm-hmm. I can't read that.
There you go. We got some TypeScript. We got some decorators. This is .NET.
Yeah, it is. Pretty much. Constructor, app service, get, render. This is making my head hurt.
I can't know where to. Here we go. I can scroll over here without moving that. Anyway, yeah. Take off, man.
Right.
I'll probably take off soon as well.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Good show, Sean. Thanks for helping with the Elgato stuff. I just ordered the thing because life's too short to not just order the thing. Plus,
that's
tax
right.
write-off. So
that's a good way to think about it. Life's too short not to just have it just work for you.
yeah, I mean, asterisk, like don't be living in a cardboard box because you ordered some stuff off Amazon.
Order the terrible things for you. They're really terrible. Yeah.
There you go. That's why I was so wary about this. So whatever, they're a trusted name. They make good stuff.
I should do a stream this weekend of me just trying to navigate this side of the Node ecosystem.
There's a lot to
Node is my future for as long as I'm at this company, so I should probably spend a little more time getting up to speed.
Mm-hmm. Or just get a new job.
And we can't all write Elixir for a living, Rockwell.
Yeah, all right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, my. My face is really up here now, isn't it? Anyone out there, by chance, have any Nest experience? Stay cool. That's your job, Thomas. Is this what they use at Twitter? I don't think so. This is something that a few people around MetaLab have been kind of looking at as like a framework, like a backend framework. Hey, see you later, Paul. docs look really nice. I'll have to take a stroll through and look at some of this stuff. And it looked like they had recipes. Yeah, here we are. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, recipes for Prisma, which is nice. But I think, like, I looked at this briefly before. I've not spent much time actually diving into it, or I've not like written anything with it. But the examples that I saw looked kind of .NET or .NET-y to me, like the heavy use of decorators. I want to go back home. Yeah, the heavy use of decorators here, which I've got nothing against. And the other thing is that it kind of forces you into encapsulation of your services. So they have like this first party service, or the idea of like services. And so all of your business logic and application logic are wrapped in services, and they make it really, really easy to swap them out as needed. So that also seems kind of nice. And then Nick was showing me that they also have support for like I mentioned Express. You could swap it out for Fastify, and also they have GraphQL adapters too. So it looked kind of pretty seamless to actually build like GraphQL APIs on top of this too. Providers. Yeah, this is the docs look nice. Really well fleshed out. Guard is a class annotated with the injectable decorator. Guard should implement can activator. Okay. Yeah, this looks nice. I'll check it out too. But yeah, it is getting a little late here as well, so I'm gonna take off. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Thanks for sticking by, coming back week after week. So we'll see you in the Discords.